Good day, everybody. Hey, I got a new USB cord, so hopefully my microphone won't start acting a fool anymore, okay? So we do have a new thing for you today, a new video cord, so you can hear me without it clipping, and I did test it a little bit. It seems to be working great. My apologies for it. If you do, I use a Blue Yeti. If you do use a Blue Yeti, my recommendation would be to make sure you have a backup USB cord. Literally, the one I just had to throw out was a backup. So yeah. So I had to buy another one. So that should be all set, and you can all hear me clear and good. So today, as you can tell from the title, we're going to be talking about a situation in Tennessee. Now, it may not be what you're thinking of because the news for this has kind of made its way through the mainstream media, similar to the Cat Pan story, but this one has to deal with a book, and a book being banned from a particular school due to particular content issues of the book from the high school curriculum of a Tennessee school. Now, I did a full article, which can be read in the link in the description below, on this coverage of this particular incident. And it's basically a Tennessee school bans Mouse, a graphic novel involving Holocaust history, from school for language and nudity issues. So basically, we have this issue where my opener basically says the whole thing for it, which gotta open with a nice little hook here. And my hook here is, when we discuss adult themes such as government committing mass murder of its population, authors need to be wary not to say phrases like goddamn or have characters that are unclothed if they wish to reach a high school audience. So, if you were, in the article here, in the start of the second paragraph, you can see I referenced the T.N. Holder here for basically the article. Now, an interesting thing happened here, and I kind of alleviated this in the last episode, that when it came to the Cat Pan issue. So the previous episode, if you haven't watched it, and if your ears were being hurt by the microphone thing, I wouldn't blame you for watching the whole thing. But basically it went over a board meeting that happened in Michigan, and one of the parents was accusing the school of putting cat litter boxes in the bathrooms to appease some sort of social agenda. And so we went over that, and in that I showed the article and I showed some of the quotes from that particular exchange between the school board and the parent. In this case, the parent was being unreasonable and the school board was being the voice of reason. In this case, obviously, the school board is being a little bit weird or persnickety about their own rule set. See, they're trying to apply, if you read the whole thing, what they're trying to do is they're trying to apply the school's code of conduct to what can be learned by the students within the school, right? So basically they're trying to content police based upon the code of conduct that they set as standards for the students. As if history can be melded into the same rule sets that a facility gives to students. And the reality is that students need to understand that while rules can be put in place for certain things, some people put rules in place that hurt others, and you got to be able to be ready to question those kind of things. But long and the short is, on that last episode, I talked about how I transcribed what the lady said in the video, because there was a video going around showing her talking about the Cat Pan. And like I said, I wanted to transcribe it because when you have the words written out, it looks ridiculous, right? And then I transcribed it also because these videos and stuff are being shared on social media, and it's really hard to, social media can be a little bit fickle. Things can disappear on you. Little did I know that when I said things can disappear on you, I wasn't thinking about like mainstream news articles or journalist things. So there's a thing called the T.N. Holler, the T.N. Holler, which is the Tennessee Holler, basically. And they had a full article that basically told what the people on the board were saying. And if I click on this, what you're going to see is that it's gone. And the interesting thing is, like, about 24 hours after I had published this article, I was getting a firewall kind of a situation, like a proxy firewall cannot find issue. Now I'm seeing that the domain is ready, is available. But the interesting thing is that when I go looking at the Twitter space, because the TN Hauler has a Twitter account, so if I go to all right, we'll cut to here. TN Hauler. So if I look up TN Hauler on the internet, we have the Tennessee Hauler, and that's their website. So we're gonna try clicking on that to see if it's just a problem with the article. And as you can see, it goes right to here. So it's some other issue here, and they have a Twitter account. And the interesting thing is that if you go to their Twitter account, here's the article, and this is where I got the article from. Click on that. It's gone. So, and the interesting thing also here is that they basically do not have any message on this social media here about like what happened to their site and what occurred here. So it's very weird. It's one of those very, very weird things. Like, I don't know if some alt-right group has decided to DDoS this this organization or what's going on here, but I can obviously get into contact with them and figure it out. But if you are looking for things, just know I put a link here to another thing that you can read the entirety of the board's statements in their whole context and all that, in case you were interested in what the issues were by the board. So basically the board, as I said, was basically complaining about the content of language and nudity in the article, in the artwork, right? In the graphic novel, and the graphic novel was too graphic, I guess. But at the end of the day, they also seem to try to apply the rules that they expect of students onto the art and content that these students were to be consuming in the school. And that's sort of where this kind of thing came from. It's sort of a misunderstanding by the board, in my opinion, on what a school is for. A school is to teach about the nitty-gritty of the real world and how power structures can be abused. And just because a story or content is talking about power structures, abuse, and violence doesn't mean it's condoning those things or encouraging those things within the students. And you most certainly shouldn't be treating the art itself as if it were a student in your school. That's just ridiculous. Because then you'd have to tell the statue of David to put some frickin' pants on, okay? Tell the thinking man that sitting there naked is against the dress code of the school. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things. And so this was a big news story, and it's like obviously there's a big kerfluffle over that. I will give one final statement, though, and that is how there was an interesting little cartoon here, and to tie it all back together with the Michigan issue that happened with cat pans, I think this one cartoonist has kind of figured it all out. Andy Marilette has this cartoon about the school board versus the mouse, and basically they're saying maybe there's a reason there's cat pans in the bathroom, and it ain't for the students apparently. There are no cats in America, but out west the cats are good. Okay, that's all there is to it. Anyways, yeah, so basically if you don't know what Mouse is, it is a graphic novel that, and I should have probably explained this a little bit early on in the video, but it's a graphic novel which talks about the perspective of Jewish citizens of Germany during the Holocaust era, using mice as a symbol, as a sort of mice species are supposed to be symbolic of the, the the marginalized Jewish community of the of that period, and the cats are supposed to be the what they would call the Aryan sort of like group that was basically suppressing and putting them into internment camps and such. And the graphic novel is quite graphic about that thing. It's very honest. It is basically a retelling of a story of Art Spiegelman's ancestors and grandparents. Basically, they told him the story about these things, and he basically transformed that story into this sort of anthropomorphic style. So that's basically what the school had decided was to graphic. The two things that they noted was the word, the phrase "goddamn" and any like some sort of language issues, but also there was an unclothed character. Now Art Spiegelman went on CNN and he told them that the unclothed character was a small photograph of his own mother, Art Spiegelman's own mother, who had committed suicide in a bathtub, and she was not clothed during her action, right? And that's and he was like, that's not. There's nothing what they would call inherently sexual about that. There's no. It's not like he was putting in. It wasn't like he was making a centerfold or anything. It was basically the lady was in a bath and she was, she had obviously taken her own life, and it's a very disturbing part of the thing, and it was definitely, when you watched the interview with Spiegelman, he was definitely taken aback by that particular scene, being looked at in such a way by the school board, and was kind of confused by it. So basically, long line of the history of books that have been banned from American schools. The thing about American schools is that like every different school has every different set of rules. It's not like it's a homogenized thing. So like this is one county school in Tennessee that has decided to do this. It doesn't mean that other schools would follow suit. There was one of the weirdest ones when I was looking at the history of banned books in schools was the Lorax, which was banned in a Californian school because they were afraid that kids would frown upon people in the logging industry because of what happened in that book. There's weird, there's definitely, the people who have authority definitely sometimes influence their politics onto and concern themselves about what the kids will interpret it as. And so they get, they'll hide it from them in one way or another. Sometimes for nefarious reasons, as this cartoon implicates, sometimes for silly reasons and other things like that. But as other YouTubers have said, banned books are good books. If your schools are banning those books, you should look into those. Stephen King has also said stuff like that. So, and he's had his own book. Stephen King obviously has had his own books banned from a school. Carrie, particularly, for probably obvious reasons. Anyways, that's all I have for today. It's kind of a weird thing that site kind of went out of nowhere. Not quite sure. We'll figure out what's going on. I'll probably even DM, that Twitter account to see if I can get any more information as to why their site is no longer up. If I don't see it up in a week or so, I'm gonna guess they've been DDoS attacked, and that GoDaddy has decided to terminate it because of they were being attacked. That's my guess, and maybe I don't know why they wouldn't talk about that on their Twitter account. I mean, that's kind of big news if somebody is attacking your organization. That's kind of really big news. And I'm surprised they wouldn't have covered it in any way, shape, or form. But anyways, thank you very much for watching. What do you think about it? What is your favorite banned book from a school? What is your favorite book that's been banned from being taught in 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 an American school somewhere. Leave a comment in the comment section. Kick that like, kick the subscribe button, kick that bell, ring that bell, and we will see you guys next week. And hopefully, my new audio will helpfully be more soothing to your ears. See you later.